Chances are you want to eat healthier, you want to exercise more, and do all the amazing things for your health that you know you should be doing. Then why is it so hard to get started? We're going to cover that today.
Also, eating too much processed sugar.
Okay, we love this topic. We talk about awareness all the time because sometimes once you become aware of an issue for you, it kind of opens things up and makes huge changes in your life. So you want to start eating better, and you know you need to exercise more, and would love to start meditating, and your intentions are always good, but you just can't seem to get started. What's the deal? So if you say to yourself, oh, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get started? Well, we're happy to tell you that there's nothing wrong with you, and we're hoping to also shed some light on this and get you started moving forward today. But first off, let's discuss stress. So the definition of stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from an adverse or very demanding circumstance. And we know that too much stress is not good for us, right? Well, guess what? Our brain has some internal mechanisms to protect us. And when we perceive something as stressful, the brain thinks, oh, danger. So we want to avoid it. And when it comes to healthier habits, many times people see the things that you have to do to get healthier and stay healthier as overwhelming or stressful. So let us know in the comments below if you can relate to that. To change gears for a second, we want to talk about something called activation energy. Have you heard of this? Activation energy is the energy you need to start something. In fact, it's actually a chemistry term, and it's used to describe the energy it takes to start a chemical reaction. But here's the thing. Whenever you're starting something new or anticipating something you might not want to do, it requires more activation energy. So the more activation energy needed, the less likely you are to get started or keep up with something. And here's another interesting fact. Activation energy can actually trigger a stress response, which could be the thing keeping you from doing it in the first place. So that's really why we wanted to start off this discussion by talking about stress. So if you think about a pile of papers you want to go through, or a closet that needs to be cleaned out, a week of dinners to plan, how many times have you thought about it, but the activation energy is just too big, so it keeps you from tackling it? And so then you move on to something else or do something that kind of calms your brain down. So it may sound obvious, but the way to get around this is by starting with very tiny steps. Steps that are so small that they barely require any activation. Steps that do not cause you to feel stress.
We are always looking for ways to lower activation energy for our clients so they can take action and get moving on reaching their goals. So for instance, if the thought of a total diet overhaul sounds daunting, what about just starting with focusing on one meal? A lot of times with our clients, we just start with breakfast. We may even have them just start trying one new healthy breakfast and let them get that down pat, feel really good about it, and then they can move on to another breakfast idea. And then once they get that down, etc., they can move on to another meal or snack or other lifestyle habit that they want to address. So we want to bring this around by sharing a story. I'm going to share a personal story of how I used activation energy in my own life. This was before the pandemic, and I had injured my ankle pretty badly. So I was sort of out of commission with exercising for a while. And once I was healed, I had the hardest time getting back into the groove of things. So I was complaining to Stephanie one morning, and she's like, Jane, you need to employ activation energy. So I was like, you're absolutely right. So we came up with this plan, and there was this video series that I had actually gotten delivered in the mail, and I was so anxious to try it, and I hadn't done anything with it yet. It was one of those things, this was a couple years ago, you actually have to put it in your CD player or whatever. So there was a stack of 4, and she said, okay, here's your plan. You're just going to take one of the videos out of the box. That's it. Then the next step, you're going to put the video in your computer. Don't do anything else. And then the third step was you're just going to watch the video. You don't have to do the exercise. You're just going to watch it. And then the fourth step was going to be to actually do the first series of the video, video number 1. I was like, that's doable. So it was so easy. The first step was just basically taking the video out of its box and then sticking it into the computer. So what happened was, like, once I just got over that first hump, I ended up speeding up the process and I wound up doing the video the next day. It didn't even take me that long to get through the 4 steps because I had this little piece only that I had to do and it seemed so easy, and then it prompted me to do everything else. So another quick sort of example is I really enjoy walking, and I have a long route and a short route, and the short route converges with the long route. So many days, if I don't feel like doing the long route, I tell myself, you just have to do the short route. And then once I get to the point where I could go longer, 9 times out of 10, I wind up going farther and take the long route just because I've gotten myself out there and I start to feel great. So again, that's the idea of activation energy, tiny steps to get you to do a bigger step. That's the moral of the story. If you have trouble creating a new habit you know would benefit your health but just can't get started, think about what tiny step you could take to move you closer to your goal. And if you still can't get started, guess what? It's still too big, and make the step even smaller. We know this sounds cliche, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you want to find out about getting our help, especially if you're looking to lose weight, check out the link below to find out more about our Simply Nourished program. The cornerstone of this program is lowering activation energy so you can reach your goals and stay there. So what simple step can you start doing right away? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and the bell to be notified, because that really helps us and allows us to keep making more of these videos to improve your health and weight after 50.